What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, Duel commentary. We've got Reborn Kaiko 1212 versus Generio, or I guess it's Jenner Leo. I'm not sure which one. 16-18. I hope that this duel is still in the early stages. A lot of times I just sift through the duels. I try and find interesting matchups. I saw Insectors and I was like, okay, that's got my interest. Then I saw a frog in the graveyard. I was like, okay, definitely got my interest. And it kind of looks like, yeah, Reborn Kaiko is definitely going for an OTK. I would imagine that turn one, he probably went Mathematician, dumped Hornet. And then in this turn, he probably went Dragonfly. You see that at some point, Duke Frog bit the dust. And I don't know what else is in his graveyard. Maybe turn one, he went like Swap Frog, Dump Treeborn. Depending on what other resources Reborn Kaiko has, he can. I think I just called him Reborn Kaiko, Reborn Kaito. He can potentially try and go for an OTK here. This is 26 plus 31, so he's not quite there yet. But he would probably need to use. Okay, so it looks like he's going to do. I don't know if he's used. I think he's using those. Yeah, he's using those as counters for monsters that have already used their effect. He needs maybe. If he has like an MST, obviously he could probably get there. Okay, so he's going into an XC. I wonder what he's going to go into. There's nothing banished, so Levier's probably out of the question. Okay, so he goes into Engineer, which I'm not so certain about Engineer against Frogs. I say that mainly because, okay, he's going to activate the effect on Mathematician. Oh, I think he might have just wanted Dragonfly in Graveyard. That's the only thing that makes any sense. Okay, so he's going to use Hornet from hand. Oh, he had Gigamantis. Okay, there we go. So obviously he's going to pop Gigamantis, and that's going to let him reborn, obviously, the Dragonfly, as well as get him another card. If he has, I think he already burnt one sword, but he probably has a second sword still in his deck. So that would be able to just, I mean, that's, nope, he decides to get Ladybug. Okay, whatever. Oh, yeah, that's right, it triggers twice. It triggers once from the Hornet, and then it triggers for the Gigamantis. Okay, that's right. So he gets them both, and this is 34, that's 25. He hasn't done a ton more damage. But remember, he can still activate Dragonfly. The problem is this card having to go in defense. I'm not sure why he didn't just use Leviathan Dragon. Like, Leviathan Dragon is a card way past its prime, but it's still good for obscure situations like this. Okay, so it looks like he's going to do some level adjusting. He doesn't need to pop any more cards. Yeah, that makes the most sense. Go level 5. Or maybe level 4, because you always have to think, with level 4, with 2 level 4s, you get Cowboy, and that's 800 more damage, which means to OTK your opponent, you really only have to do 72. So I always like going level 4. But then again, if your opponent has like Gores, level 4 synchros are like really shitty for dealing with stuff like that. Like level 5 is where it's at because you can go Valkysaurus and like, you know, you can blow shit up with Valkysaurus. Or you can make Adrius. Adrius blow shit up. Valkysaurus blow shit up. The last one, Exostag, he pretty much takes shit too. Alright, so looks like he's going to exceed now. Okay, so now he summons Shard Fortress. Okay, well, this guy can attack twice if I'm not mistaken. Yep, he can attack twice, so that's 48. He definitely got the damage that he needed. And then it looks like he's going to make a sword, or he puts a sword on a centipede, so that's 24. That right there is almost game, just between the Shark Fortress itself and the centipede. But then he has 18 and 16 on top of that just to ensure. The question is, does General Leo have Gores? And I guess he's going to attack lowest to highest, because why wouldn't you? I mean, it only becomes relevant when you've got the 224s. It says it's over 9,000. That's cute. So, General Leo, do you have... And see, this is where Shockmaster used to come in handy, because you could call monster effects and you could just lock them out, but there is no more Shockmaster, unfortunately. So yeah, Shark Fortress can attack twice, and Centipede is 2400. He already burnt this guy's effect, but I mean he could use it for his next turn if there is a next turn. Okay, General Leo takes 24, even though he attacked 18 first, or excuse me, 16 first. Oh, Jack Frost. Okay, so he's gonna drop Jack Frost on the Shark Fortress. So he goes face down, right? Yeah, I think you drop Jack Frost when your opponent declares a direct attack, and then you put a monster face down position. Okay, so he couldn't get the OTK that he needed, and little Jack Frost just might have saved his bacon. Jack Frost goes face down. Now this isn't the one that lets you draw or anything, because you need other ghost tricks on field to use Spectre. And it looks like he's going to start special summoning. General Leo pitches Treeborn for Swap Frog. Okay, well, he didn't have a Treeborn in there, but he has one now. It's going to be next turn before he can use it, and I think that he's not thinking about next turn. He's looking at making a big play now. He dumps Rodent Totem in the graveyard. He already has 2 frogs that we know of, and Dupe Frog and Treeborn Frog that he can use for Rodent Totem. The problem is you need to get some of those Infernity. You need to get some of those Insectors off the board. Otherwise, I mean, your opponent. What's stopping your opponent from going pop, 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 pop? You know what I mean? There really isn't anything. Not to mention having Jack Frost on board, not so good, because he can easily turn this Shark Fortress into a Gaia and run his ass over. And technically, that's game in itself, because Jack Frost only has 100 defense, so Gaia is 26. You take 25k, that's game. So General Leo has to do something here. Now he hasn't normal summoned yet, but you have to think what normal summon is going to get the job done. There is no single Monarch right now that will save him. Dark Dust Spirit would help, definitely. Dark Dust Spirit would let him, well, no, it wouldn't completely nuke the board, because he would activate Engineer and he would just protect the Centipede, I would assume. So that wouldn't even kill the Centipede. What can he do? There's Majesty's Fiend. Majesty's Fiend's legit. That would just lock out everything. Okay, so instead he plays Light and Darkness Strike. I was thinking about that card. I don't know that it actually wins you to do if he has any chainables. Like, if he has any chainables, well, you know what? Engineer's a chainable. Fuck that. Engineer can make this guy 2300. So this is risky. I don't really think it matters which Centipede it's on. Technically, he should take some of those counters off. I don't really know what the counters stand for. There should only be one counter on his field right now, and that should be to distinguish the 2 Centipedes. Unless they're like level 5s or some shit like that. I don't think they have their adjusted levels, but I don't think either one does. So General Leo's probably gonna attack maybe the Shark Fortress, because that can turn into Gaia, and that's a problem you do not want. You do not want that problem. Even regardless, he's not in a good position. He'll probably lose during this next turn, because, well, I'm surprised he didn't use Engineer during the end phase to just turn like a Centipede to defense mode. That would eat up a lad counter, you know what I mean? And okay, so he does choose to use Engineer's effect on itself. I guess just wanting to keep it in defense. Oh, never mind. He had breakthrough skill for Light and Darkness Dragon. Now, it does reset the 2800 attack. Unfortunately, yeah, he could just pop it, or 101 or some shit like that. There were too many ways for him to just get around it now. So game 1 goes to Insectors, which is apparently still a deck. I thought about trying to run back Insectors. My problem is Hornet is pretty much everything to the deck. I'm not so much concerned about breakthrough skill and shit like that, because you can use things like Lance for that. My concern is, how in the hell do you deal with the hands? If your opponent just says, alright, I'm just going to keep setting my hands, every single time you activate and you're trying to pop something, I mean, you're potentially losing a monster. And I was like, alright, well, obviously I can side, Soul Drain, Dimensional Fissure, but outside of hitting one of those cards, it's like you're always in a bad position. You know what I mean? Like, you need some type of side card. It's the same problem that Fire Fist has. You know what I mean? To where Bear has a hard time dealing with the hand cards. I would imagine Insectors do too. And then if you play against artifacts, it's like, do you go trying to pop back row? Like, how do you go about doing that? You know what I mean? So it looks like General Leo is going to special summon Swap Frog by get rid of Dupe Frog, and then he dumps Treeborn. I imagine he's going to put it back in his hand and activate the effect again. Now, one of the good and bad things about this matchup, okay, he discards Mobius, which is a water monster, so he can obviously do that, to do Swap Frog again. This time he goes for Rodent Totem, and he still hasn't used his normal summon yet. Here's the good and bad thing about this matchup, right? Alright, so Frog's keeping open field a lot. He's going for a normal summon. What? Unless it's like Vanities or Majesties, I don't really know what he's summoning. Anyways, here's the thing about this matchup that's good and bad for Insectors. On one side, the Frog deck doesn't really put... They don't really keep any back row, and they don't put a lot of monsters on board, which means that there isn't a lot of stuff for you to technically make advantage off of with Hornet. But on the good side is, I mean, it leaves them highly susceptible to OTKs. So he's asking if it starts a chain. I don't know what exactly he's talking about. If he's talking about Rodent Totem or what. And I guess they're talking about the problem-solving text and whatnot. I don't know if he's talking about Swap Frog or Rodent Totem. I think maybe he's asking if banishing the monster starts a chain with Rodent Totem. Let's read your text. Stop Rodent Totem to special summon this card. No, based on this text, it does not start a chain because it says to special summon this. It's all in one line. It doesn't say and then or any of that crap. So based on its text, it's inherent. You know what I mean? Now it looks like Reborn Kaiku played Maxi, and okay, so Rodent Totem is going to be summoned. Oh, and then he tributes for Majesty's Fiend. So, okay. Now, he gave up a ton of advantage to drop Majesty's Fiend on the board, but, I mean, essentially this is basically Light and Darkness Dragon, but he never loses his attack, and he just says no to everything. Now, Reborn Kaito, set 3, and General Leo doesn't have any choice but to attack into him. I mean, why would you not? I mean, if you're scared to attack with Majesty's Fiend, don't even summon it. So you see he's going to activate Duality, which is good because it's not like he can actually... It's not like he could do anything with it anyway. You know what I mean? He couldn't special summon because he couldn't use Treeborn, and it just made sense to use the Duality. You know, use it before this guy dies anyway. He takes Maxi, which oddly enough, he can't even actually activate. He cannot activate as long as he has Majesty's Fiend. So maybe he's looking ahead to if Majesty's Fiend dies. And this is a card that was, I wouldn't expect my opponent to drop on me turn 1. So, I mean, that's kind of a bitch. And for most of the other lockdown cards, like, you know, when you get like Vanity's Fiend out against Mermail, it wasn't shit that they could do about it. I mean, for the most part, they had their one little heavy infantry and that was it. And you see a second, he activates a second Majesty's Fiend. Or excuse me, a second Duality. I know he's going to grab that second Majesty's Fiend. Why would you not? You already got Maxi, right? In case your opponent tries to go like, you know, they try to go fucking Dark Hole and then like Omega spam the field. You can just Maxi him, draw a trillion cards. You know, you can go Jack Frost. You can go Swift Scarecrow for, you know, the potential stopping of an OTK. And then your Treeborn is loaded for your next Majesty's Fiend. And it looks like Reborn Kaito is having a hard enough time just trying to kill one. And I think he's just going to keep attacking. Now, I expect him to put some chump blockers down. Well, you see that he attacked over Centipede. But what's good about Insectors is, if you're facing down a really big boss monster like this, or Light and Darkness, you can actually set your Hornet and your Centipede, or not your Centipede, your Ladybugs, so that, you know, they can block a couple of times, or they can block a couple of attacks. Ouch! He summons Doomdozer. When was the last fucking time you saw that happen? Holy shit, and that is an inherent summon. So, yeah. And he's going to have to eat that attack, even if he had something like, even if he happened to have, you know, even if he had an Econ. Doomdozer has a fucking legit 2600 defense. Holy crap. I totally forgot that his defense was that high. So, play goes back to General Leo, who, if he doesn't use this face down, he will lock himself out of his own Treeborn Frog. Okay, so he uses Breakthrough Skill, which I had a little bit of a hunch maybe that was Breakthrough Skill or maybe MST. Those are the only two cards I thought. If it was Econ, I think, even though he couldn't kill it, I think he would have used it. And holy shit, this is bad. He used Doomdozer. He stole Doomdozer using Treeborn Frog. And you wonder if you try and go for game. You wonder. No, wait, I'm sorry. That's 5,400. Okay. I was thinking, do you tribute your Treeborn Frog for Vanity's Fiend or Majesty's Fiend, and then you just, like attack with both of them and having no way of killing Doomdozer, but you see he would still have 400 life points, so that's not technically game. So he's going to tribute Doomdozer for Majesty's Fiend, and if Treeborn Frog dies, it won't come back. Well, not as long as this guy is face up. I would still summon and attack Treeborn Frog. I wouldn't want it on board because you never know when your opponent might have an Econ or whatever. And Reborn Kaito doesn't have a way to come back after double Majesty's Fiend, and he just scoops. So yeah, you can't use your Insectors, you can't use hand traps. It's a bitch of a card. It's just, how many decks can really get it out. So it looks like Reborn Kaito is going to take turn 1, or he's going to take first. Why wouldn't you? This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Going first makes all the difference. He opens with Centipede. I imagine he's going to play Ladybug on it. Okay, he activates the effect. He's asking for a Veiler. Why would you Veiler now? You can just wait and then it will fall off. So, yeah. Okay, so he activates Ladybug. He makes it level 4. A lot of times I used to, I used to get Zexcalibur when I used to open up with Centipede Ladybug. But in this specific situation against this deck where popping shit with Hornet doesn't make a ton of advantage, I'm not sure that you don't just go straight for Dragonfly. I mean, get your big guns out. Alright, so he plays Duality. He sees Book of Moon, Roar, and Breakthrough Skill. Breakthrough Skill probably looks like the best card there. Okay, he's going to take Threatening Roar. I mean, at least with Breakthrough Skill, you can hit fucking Majesty's Fiend, right? You can fucking at least negate that motherfucker so that you can, pop it with Hornet. But he decides to take Threatening Roar, I guess. Maybe he already has another Breakthrough Skill. I don't know. Or he might have a Solemn Warning or, some other way of stopping Majesty's Fiend from getting on board. And I guess he figures my opponent can't just leave shit idly set because I can obviously just play, I can just play my Hornet and start popping monsters. So, you can't leave monsters on board against Insectors. Not if you want them to live, anyway. So, Swap Frog is summoned using Rodent Totem, which drops Treeborn Frog into the graveyard. And then he plays Soul Exchange. Oh, man, I think we could be seeing Light and Darkness Dragon. He plays Soul Exchange. He's giving up 2. He's going to give up Centipede. And, yep, Light and Darkness Dragon comes down. And that is a fucking problem for Reborn Kaito because, yeah, he has Hornet in hand who's not doing shit. Well, I guess technically Hornet can try and equip something. Yeah, I guess Hornet can try and equip something, which would take an effect, or it would take a counter from Lad. Just in general, let's put it like this. He has a lot of back row, including Threatening Roar, which is not a very good card right now because it doesn't do anything against Light and Darkness. Okay, so you see he activates Ladybug, which is the card that he drew. I would imagine he's going to trigger the effect. He triggers the effect. Lad's going to negate it. He activates Call of the Haunted as a chain. Okay, so Call of the Haunted comes down. And I guess he's going to be able to eat up some of these counters by trying to trigger effects with... Oh, yeah, you know what? I guess if this is a chain, he can Maxim. Maybe, okay, I thought General Leo was asking if this was in a chain so that, maybe he could respond in the chain with, Maxi or something like that. That would have been really, really legit, by the way, if he would have did that. But okay, it's still on Reborn Kaito, who needs to get rid of Light and Darkness Dragon. I mean, that pretty much goes without saying. But Lad has at least a couple more negates in him. Okay, so you see Lad negate Centipede, and then he plays Lance on Lad. Okay, so that's cool. So now Lad was at 18. and then it lost 800 attack, so he's at what, 1,000? Okay, so yeah, I would imagine he's going to get Swap Frog and activate its effect. The question here is, does General Leo have another good monster in him? So he dumps Treeborn into the graveyard. Right now would be, this would be a great time for him to have like an Obelisk or another Light and Darkness Dragon, something like that. Oh, okay, so he just passed his turn. Well, you know what? He already tried to activate all of his Insectors, so it wasn't like he could do anything. You see Treeborn comes out during General Leo's standby phase. Wonder if he has maybe an Econ. That'd be great. I mean, it's not like either one of these players can exceed right now, but just in general. Okay, but regardless, it looks like he's going to go for... Well, he summons Rodent Toad in defense mode. Now, keep in mind that Reborn Kaito does have Threatening Roar set. So, he tries the Bottomless. You can't Bottomless Herald of the Pure Light, dude. It's way too small. So, Herald of the Pure Light... Oh, he's gonna use that for Lad. Oh, that's what he's gonna do. He's gonna use it for Lad. Now, but he does have Threatening Roar though, so you have to watch out. Yeah, you have Threatening Roar. You know what? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I was thinking maybe summon Herald of the Pure Light in attack mode, but if he plays what's it called? If he plays Threatening Roar, then obviously it won't matter. None of them will be able to attack anyway. All right, so I think General Leo, now that he knows the Bottomless is there, I mean, you can kind of like attempt to play around it. Now, for what's it called? For Herald of the Pure Light, you do have to put a card back in the deck, which I don't know what he put back in the deck, but you do have to put a card back in the deck as payment to getting that Lad back to your hand. Herald of the Pure Light it's a very good card. It's a very good card if you need one specific monster in your graveyard, like Honest or something like that, something that you know is really that important, and you got a bunch of jank in your hand. So the question is, how is Leo going to go about using or trying to get rid of Reborn Kaito's field? You see he plays Light and Darkness Dragon. Okay, so he chains Threatening Roar and then Bottomless. Okay, so that's one way of getting around it, I guess, is to just bait it out. You know, so she dies, and that was his normal summon. And he's kind of running low on cards here. Now, he does have a Rodent Totem that he can use. Unfortunately, Rodent Totem by itself doesn't get the job done. So General Leo just passes. I kind of wonder why he summoned the Lad, knowing that his opponent had Bottomless. Like, maybe it was his only play or something. But it's not like Lad was going to be able to attack anyway. I wasn't sure he was going to do the chain in that order, using Roar first and then using Bottomless. But even if he would have done it the other way, he could have just baited out the effects with these guys anyway. So it wouldn't have been like that big of a problem for Reborn Kaito. So it looks like he's going to pop his own Ladybug. I think he just wanted it in graveyard so that he can get Dragonfly. That's the only thing I can think of. And also so that they would give him access to being able to use Ladybug. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so now, because, I mean, General Leo doesn't have any monsters on board, so it's not like he's going to be able to use Dragonfly anymore. So, okay, he activates Dragonfly's effect. And he gets Centipede, or excuse me, he gets Ladybug. Probably going to make him level 5. Or level 4. You know, you can go level 4 and make a Best Dweller. I heard that card's pretty good against frogs. I mean, stopping Treeborn Frog is one of the optimal ways of beating the deck. Any type of Frog Monarch or any Frog variant. I mean, they need frogs to basically live. Whether that be Treeborn, Dupe, what's the one I'm missing? Rodent Totem, even though it's not technically a frog, it still can't activate. So, General Leo says, you got it. Reborn Kaito is going to do what now? Maybe he's going... I mean, again, if you can't OTK your opponent, the smartest play, to me, is going for a Best Dweller. Because you can still make... You don't give up any advantage, because all you have to do is have your last Centipede search a sword. Thus meaning that if your Dragonfly or your Centipede dies, the other one that's on field, it doesn't really die. It just replaces itself. So let's see what he's going to do. Maybe he'll go 5, or he might go level 4. really sure what the holdup is. Why Reborn Kaito is taking so long. I mean, he hasn't even added the counters to Dragonfly yet. I'd go rank 4. I'd go for Abyss Dweller. There's way too much safety in that card to where your opponent can't do shit. If they happen to draw, you know, Soul Exchange plus like Majesty's Fiend, fuck it, you know. Like, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes. Okay, so he goes level 4. He's taking forever. And I guess he gets Centipede. I think he's going to go level 4 again. Okay, and then he's going to search. Yeah, this is not complicated Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't make this to be complicated. You know, you leave this Centipede. These two guys are level 4. I mean, you can either leave Dragonfly on board or you can leave Centipede on board. I guess you just go ahead and leave Dragonfly on board because it does more damage than Centipede does by itself. You make these guys level 4, attack with everybody, and then during your main phase 2, you make a Abyss Dweller using both Centipedes, which are both level 4. Well, actually, he made his Dragonfly level 4, so he can't use Centipede number 1 over here to for Abyss Dweller. But whatever. I mean, because you have to remember, Ladybug can adjust anyone on the field's levels. It does not have to be Insectors. You can have Ladybug make fucking Mathematician a rank level 5 if you want. So he's attacking for everybody. I wonder who he put the sword on. Well, if he's going to exceed, then I assume this on this Centipede right here. I think you go for Abyss Dweller and you just pass turn. That was not complicated. And he has a fucking dimensional fit. Wow, talk about the nuts. And then as soon as your opponent draws, you've activated Abyss Dweller. Okay, I guess he's just going to wait. I mean, I guess he's going to try and wait for his opponent to activate the effect. I mean, yeah, just doing in draw phase. I mean, you know your opponent's going to try and activate it. And besides, I mean, they can't set anything to protect themselves because you still have Dragonfly and Graveyard to pop it, and they're basically one attack from losing. That's 24 and Centipede's 24, so that's game right there. The only way your opponent survives is if they have, like, I guess, Swift Scarecrow, Battle Fader, Jack Frost. Like, those are the only cards that can really save them, not even Gores. Because Gores would just get popped by Centipede. Actually, no, it wouldn't get popped by Centipede. It would just attack and then that'd be game. So, Gores, yeah, doesn't save them. Trag don't save them either. Those are the only ones that come to mind is those 3 cards. So, General Leo is thinking he has no access to his graveyard, so this shit's completely irrelevant, these 5 cards, because Abyss Dweller was already played. So, you know what I mean? If you don't have the cards to counter what your opponent did, just, you know, it's game. You know, Dark Hole would be a good counter. Actually, well, no, I was going to say, wait. When this card, yeah, I was going to say, even if you Dark Hole, this card would still trigger because it goes to the graveyard, even if this does not. So you see he plays Soul Exchange. And it looks like he's going to send Centipede to the graveyard. For Caius. And Caius is going to take out Dweller. No, it's not going to take out Dweller. Huh, my bad. I guess, yeah, you can just attack over Dweller. So, yeah. Okay, so you're going to tribute Centipede, which means Zexcalibur still is going to trigger, by the way. Yep, Zexcalibur, even if Centipede doesn't hit the graveyard, it doesn't really matter because Zexcalibur does hit the graveyard. Dimensional Fissure dies. And then I imagine he's going to attack over Dweller. No, wait, no battle phase. My bad, no battle phase. I'm lunching. My bad. No battle phase. What the hell am I thinking? I'm kind of surprised he went D-Fissure over Dweller. Because, like, now he's still technically locked out of Treeborn Frog. At least with Dweller, you can, well, you know what? I think, okay, so he goes for Max C. Oh, okay. I guess he wanted to maybe think that Maxi was the last hope, and you know, hopefully he could draw something. All he has to do is just pop right here. I think that he was thinking about Volcasaurus potentially, just doing the 2500 for or the 2400 in effect damage for game. But now I think he's going to switch it up and go Hornet and just try and pop and attack everybody. So that's what he does. He kind of adjusted his battle plans on the fly. And Centipede's going to trigger. I guess that's probably going to get... I would go... Yeah, I guess that goes Excalibur. Equip it to Centipede and just attack with Centipede. Because that's 24k. You don't want to... I mean, if you can end the game... He does it on fly. Why? If you can end the game with one attack, why wouldn't you? It's game anyway, but I guess you kind of left yourself open to Gores in that situation. Either way, Insectors take it. Thank you guys for watching as always.